Hello! This is a new sort of presentation I'm trying out. Really leaning into my shit webcam as a new form of aesthetic for the channel. Today I wanted to talk about just a simple little rant that have been wanting to make for a while now is why I don't like movie theaters. Which is a more relevant topic than ever because movie theaters went away for a while and now they're slowly coming back. So, you know, a lot of questions have been asked about the necessity of movie theaters and whether we still need theaters with the advent of streaming and digital distribution and whatnot. And a lot of people have a fondness for the theater experience, the theater environment. And I'm not going to say I'm completely immune to that because I've had great experiences in theaters. It is definitely a kind of experience I get why people are nostalgic for. But over time in my life, I've realized that I don't vibe with theaters anymore. And there's a number of reasons for that. Some of them are very personal, and this is all subjective. If you love the theater experience, I'm not here to change your mind. This is just me explaining why I personally don't enjoy the theater experience and why I don't think I'm going to be going back to theaters anytime soon. The first is obviously the cost. Going to theaters is expensive. Getting theater food, even if you're like me and you sneak in food and drink, because you're just cool like that, which is what I've always done, is just snuck in stuff. You go to the fucking dollar store or the convenience store and get like a bottle of soda for $1 and sneak it in your jacket coat. You know, shit like that. That's something I've always done. So that reduces it a little bit. But even so, matinee tickets for adults still like $12.50 or something per person, maybe even more. I don't even know. If you go to a nice theater, it could be even more. I think, like, when I did go to the theaters, I often went to the AMC theater, which was a little farther away, but they had way more comfortable seats than the Regal theaters nearby. So I go out of my way to go to the AMC theater, but that's actually more expensive. That could be upwards of like $15 per ticket. Um, and a whole other thing is annoying is that they have, at least AMC does this. I don't know if other theaters do this, but they had like, I remember when I went to see The Last Jedi, which was a mistake in itself, but when I went to see The Last Jedi, I ordered an online ticket and they charged me an extra fee for online processing or whatever the fuck term they used. But they literally did not accept buying tickets at the stand. You had to order them online. So they were charging me an extra online processing fee to do what I had to do to get the ticket in the first place, which just struck me as very scummy, and it would not surprise me if a lot of other theaters do shit like that too. So the cost is definitely up there. Conversely, when I watch movies at home, it's usually on streaming services, or a lot of times if it's a newer movie, I'll just get it from the library or from a Redbox or something, which ranges from like free to like $2. So $2 because Redbox for some reason charges more for Blu-rays. I don't know why. It's like, I think it's like $1 for DVDs, but it's like $2 for Blu-rays for no discernible reason. But anyway, so yeah, much cheaper than going to theaters, especially since like I have no shortage of things to do. Like, I'm never really in a hurry to. I'm very rarely, I should say, because there are things I do look forward to. I'm very rarely in a hurry to see a movie. I am willing to wait a few months if it means that I can get it either for free or for a much cheaper price, get that experience, or maybe resort to other methods. Who knows? But something else I want to point out. Sorry, my mind just trailed off. What I wanted to say was the experience of actually going. Let me criticize now the experience of actually going to the theater and the kinds of things you deal with in theaters that I don't, as I've grown older, I don't feel like dealing with anymore. Obviously, the biggest annoyance is other people, the noise they make. Okay, so there's the surface level critique of watching things with other people, in that they can be talking, they can make noises, they can kick the back of your seat. You never know who you're going to be with. It could be, old people, children, just really loud people, whatever. Teenagers on day phones, whatever. So there is that. But it's more, to me, it's more than that. It comes down to a fundamental difference in the way the very purist mindset I have about consuming media, which is I like to consume the media as directly as possible. So, and I feel like experiencing something in a crowd detracts from that. When I watch something, let's just use film as the primary example because that's what they show in theaters. When I watch a film at home, it's on my nice monitor, right over there, directly in front of me. I got my headphones on, and that's the other thing is that I watch everything these days with headphones, whether it's on my phone, my computer, my consoles, whatever, because I love the clarity of the audio presentation, especially in live action material, because live action materials audio mixing can be kind of hit or miss for me. There are a lot of TV shows and movies and such where, like, I've always had this problem with live action content when I'm not wearing headphones, is that the quiet scenes can sometimes be too quiet and the action scenes can be too loud. So I'm constantly having to like turn it up, turn the volume up, turn the volume down, etc. when I'm not wearing headphones, just so I can A, understand what's happening, and B, not annoy everyone around me with how loud the thing is being. So, but when I'm wearing headphones, that doesn't matter. I mean, I might still adjust it here and there, but I can usually find one comfortable audio level that everything makes sense at. I can hear everything because it's all right in my ears. And a lot of times I'm one of those people that will often watch things with subtitles, even if I don't, strictly speaking, need them, just so I have absolute clarity of what is being said. Because I have a very active mind, and when I'm watching something, sometimes I get distracted by my own thoughts, and I start thinking about things or whatever, and I sometimes start to, my attention drifts from the film itself, and the subtitles help me stay on track. It's not that I necessarily need them most of the time to understand what's being said, but they help me stay focused. And I'm one of those people that gets really annoyed when, like, it's not actual subtitles, it's just closed captions or some bullshit. Or for the hearing impaired, which, I mean, obviously the hearing impaired needs subtitles. I'm not disparaging that, but, like, there's a difference. I don't need the audio descriptions, I just want the dialogue. And that kind of annoys me when films don't have a non-hearing impaired subtitle option on their home releases or whatever. So there's that. But there's also a psychological component, I feel, to watching something with a crowd. And that is that, and I understand some people enjoy that. Some people really like that feeling of when something really hype happens, everyone around you is feeling the energy as well, and you get that upswell. You're like, I'm familiar with that. I understand why people like that. But for me, I don't like being informed how to feel or how to respond to a piece of media by anything other than the media itself. And I feel like when you're in a crowd, it's very easy to get swept up in feelings you otherwise might not have had, or might not have had as strongly if you were just watching it by yourself. And I feel like that's a valid component to taking in and mentally sort of critiquing filmmaking, is not being influenced by those kinds of external factors, which can happen when you're in a crowd. And there are some things that, like, I just don't want to see with other people, that I start to think of as problems if I see them with other people, that I don't, what other than what I'm seeing it with myself. There are certain, like, this is hard to explain, but there are some things, like some styles of jokes or some kinds of romance or whatever, that, like, when I'm in a public setting, I get a little embarrassed when I'm watching with other people in a way I don't when I'm watching by myself. And so to me, that's the more pure experience. That's how I would react if it was just me and the film. But I'm reacting different in a theater because I'm surrounded by other people, and I don't know what they're thinking. Like, maybe it's just my overthinking is the problem, but like when I'm with other people, I'm constantly thinking about what other people are thinking of the thing I'm watching. I don't really have that ability to like self-isolate my own mind in a public space like that. And that's a big barrier to me enjoying theaters, is that I can't do that. It's kind of like, that feeling when you show a friend a video on your phone and you're like, and you think it's the funniest fucking shit you've ever seen, but you're like looking at their reaction like, oh, what do they think? Like, do they think it's funny? What's their reaction right now? You just look at their face like, you better be experiencing the exact same feelings I experience when I watch this by myself. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But like that kind of awkwardness is what I always feel when I'm in a movie theater, especially with certain kinds of material. And it's one of the main contributors to why I don't enjoy the theater going experience, is that psychological component and the lack of clarity and purity when consuming the media itself. And obviously, theaters were once a lot more valuable than they are now. It used to be the only way to see movies in a big high definition format, before televisions, when televisions looked like this at home, and the only way to watch a movie at home was through pan and scan VHS tapes and whatnot. But those days are long since over, and our TVs now are fucking dope as shit, and are equivalent to, if not in some cases better than the theater experience would have been. I would actually argue that if I crunch the numbers on, like, say a film is being shown in 4K at a movie theater, this 4K is a big image, but like the sheer size of the screen they have to fill relative to the screen you have at home with the same resolution, you're arguably probably watching a more clear and defined version of the film at home than you would be at a movie theater. It might not be as impressive because our brains, we see big things as impressive. We're like, ooh, that is big, that is impressive, ooh, so it might not be as impressive in that sense, but like it will be more clear and defined, and you have the ability to control things like your TV settings and your color. You can color correct if you need to, adjust the blacks, whatever the hell you want to do. You have that level of control. And speaking of control, there's another important aspect to consuming media that is a bit more personal for me, and that's the ability to pause a film and come back to it, which you obviously can't do in a movie theater because you'd be inconveniencing a lot of other people. The reason why that's important to me are some personal reasons. One is a mental thing. I have ADHD, so sometimes sitting through an entire movie, especially long movies in one sitting, is just not, it doesn't always work out. Sometimes my attention wanes and I need to pause the movie and just scroll on my phone for 15 minutes and then come back to it, because my attention span needs to be focused on something other than the film. But there's also a physiological reason for that, and that's that I am currently suffering, this is very personal, but I'm suffering from urinary frequency issues. So, and I don't want to get into too much detail because, personal gross things, but I currently suffer from urinary frequency issues. So I can't really sit through an entire film without going to the bathroom at least 2 or 3 times. So, especially not if I have like a giant fucking 48 ounce, gulp cup of soda with me, which I would never do these days. I really restrict my fluid intake, but yeah, so that's a personal reason. Obviously not everyone suffers from that, but that's a personal reason why I probably wouldn't go to theaters anymore, is because I would be missing a lot of the movie if I had to go to the bathroom 2 or 3, maybe even 4 times during a run of a movie. So it's not accessible to me in that way. Again, very personal reason, but it's just another thing on top of the pile of reasons why I personally don't really care about theaters, and I probably wouldn't go back to them when they reopen en masse, and I'm just gonna wait for home video releases like I have been doing. And that's not to say I have no, there are positives, you know. There is an immersive element to the theater environment, you know. It's obviously a very classic, nostalgic feeling. It can be a very good social event with friends and whatnot. You know, I love that. I love that feeling of going into a movie and it's daytime, and then when you walk out, it's like late evening or night, and you're like, whoa. It's like I was in another world, and now I'm coming back to this world, and so much time has passed. That's a feeling I do have a lot of nostalgia for. You know, so I'm not like completely against movie theaters. I do have fond memories of some theater experiences, but ultimately they're just not for me anymore. And I think a lot of people are rethinking their connection to movie theaters, which is especially in our current times where the home video experience is so much better than it was decades prior, that it's comparable, if not better, because of the level of customization and control you have over your film viewing experience. So I'm probably not alone in thinking that theaters are kind of a somewhat outdated concept. And I'm not saying we should get rid of them, because obviously a lot of people still enjoy them. But if the number of theaters across the globe gets cut down after the pandemic, just because a lot of people realize that they actually do prefer the home video experience, then that wouldn't surprise me too much, and I wouldn't be too sad to see, you know, a good number of theaters close. And then there's larger conversations to be had about studios' reliance on theaters, and you know how they've homogenized the industry and such. Those are conversations beyond the scope of this video. This video is just about why I personally don't like theaters anymore. So that's that. Thank you for listening to my rambling. I'll see you next time. Freak out. Ciao ciao for now.